Ladies and gentlemen, nice to meet you. We are starting today the series of seminars about the Russian track and trace system called MDLP. My name is Anton Kharitonov. For a year and a half, I was leading the pharma group of Russian track and trace operator CRPT. And today, with these seminars, I'm going to make with you a deep dive into a legal frame and basic business process for the international companies of this system. Our first seminar, I would like to start with a little bit dive in the history of the topic to give you an understanding of how this whole regulation process of Russian track and trace system was established and how to organize the compliance to it the best way for the international company. So, the legal frame in Russia is based on the federal laws, on the laws of the country, which are created and voted by parliament and then signed by president. The basic law in the area of medicines, in the area of drugs, is so-called federal law number 61, which states the basic rules of drugs usage and drugs production in the territory of Russian Federation. A few years ago, about 2.5 years ago, to this law was made a change which was named the law number 425, which stated that the system of track and trace for medications, for drugs, shall be created and implemented, and the same law gave the basic date of the implementation of this system. This date is 1st of January 2020. That's why when we are speaking about postponing the dates or some changes in the dates, I always say that it's almost impossible, because this date is stated by the federal law and the process of changing of the federal law is quite long. Right now it's about 4, maybe 3 months to go before this date, so it's too late to try to change the law. Maybe some changes will be made, but not to the law, but to the lower level of regulations, which is orders and decrees of Russian government. So the basic date will stay the same. That's how it looks right now. After that, about a year ago, it was made an additional change to this federal law, which was named the federal law number 449, which stated that all the drugs, all the packs of the drugs of medicines which are not labeled or marked or serialized before the 1st of January of 2020 will not expire, and they will be on the market till the end of the expiry date or till the expiration anyway. So nobody will stop the non-labeled, non-marked boxes on the 1st of January. That's a good news. This is the basic frame for the creation of the system. After that, Russian government had established so-called federal experiment or state experiment of high priority of creation the system, and this experiment is still in place for now, and it will end only on 31st of December this year. The experiment started in 2017. It was supported by the decree of Russian government number 62, and this decree stated the basic experiment rules, which are still in place with some changes. Actually, there were 2 governmental decrees that gave the frame of changes, and this frame was first that the operator of the system, of the created system of track and trace of medicines in Russia, which is called MDLP, the operator became a private company called CRPT, Center for Research of Prospective Technologies, which I was leading the pharma department for a year and a half, as I already said. This was in August last year, August 2018. At the same time, the same decree said that the experiment is ending on the 31st of December, as I told you. This year, before that decree, it was expected to be finalized on the 1st of January 2019. So the experiment was prolonged for a year and ends the day before the obligatory serialization starts. Second change to this decree, to the decree number 62, was made just a few days ago, and I was aware of it just at the moment it was signed. I will speak about it a little bit later. So, for now, most of the companies are in the mode of experiment. So they are still under the decree of 62 with these changes I stated. But in the end of last year, December last year, there was signed by Russian government a pack of three decrees, 1556, 1557 and 1558, which actually stated the basic rules of Russian track and trace system, of MDLP system. At the moment it will be in productive mode, in real operating mode. Means from the 1st of January for most of the medicines, but for some of them, and that says the decree number 1557, for some of them, for so-called high-cost nosologies, it will be done, it's already in place actually, starting from 1st of July with obligatory serialization of these medicines starting from 1st of October. So it's quite close, it's about 1 month from today when I'm sitting here and speaking about this process. This decree, basically 1556, gave the basic frame and the basic rules of the system. It states these crypto boxes, we call it emission recorders. This states that the operator has to organize the whole process of delivery of the crypto boxes and the delivery of all other necessary things to organize marking of drugs with using digital science, so-called crypto codes. So this is the basic rules of what we are speaking about today. Decree number 1557 stated that some fixed list of the medicines, like we call it high-cost nosologies, is starting a little bit earlier, let's say half a year earlier. And right now, when we are recording this seminar, it's 1 month to go for obligatory serialization of high-cost nosologies, while the system for high-cost nosologies is already in place, it's already in productive mode, starting from 1st of July this year. In addition to these decrees that are dedicated specially for pharmaceuticals, there is an additional decree which is general for the whole industry of Russia, that says that all the goods, including drugs, including medicines, which are marked by the crypto codes, has to be billed for each crypto code, and this is a decree number 577, dated 8th of May this year. This decree states that every code costs 50 kopecks and that every code issued has to be billed and paid. This is the second level of Russian regulations in order to create a compliance with it. So the top is federal laws, the second level is decrees and some orders of Russian government, maybe we will speak about them a little bit later. And the lowest level is orders of federal ministries, especially Ministry of Health and Ministry of Industry and Trade, which states the special rules for the experiment and for implementation of the system. These orders of the ministries specifies the guidelines for the experiment. This is signed by Ministry of Health, basic guidelines of the experiment which is in place right now. And from the Ministry of Industry and Trade, we are still expecting the special orders regarding the agreements between the manufacturers and the operator of the system, which will state the rules of getting emission recorders on site or in the data center of the operator, and at the same time we're still waiting for the agreement of how the manufacturer should pay for the crypto codes. That's how the legal frame looks like, and that's how it's in place right now. Seems to me that right now it's more or less it's full, everything is in place. And we are expecting the serialization to be started shortly. Few words about the system. System called MDLP. I will not tell you this Russian name of the system, it's quite long. Actually, it's a track and trace system for medicines which are used for medical purposes. This system was starting to be created in 2017. And right now it's, and it was the system, I was the leader of development also. The system is in place, it's ready for acceptance of participants, it's ready to operate, and it's up to date as far as the legal frame is concerned. So all the new decrees, all the new rules which are implemented in the field of turnover of drugs are already used in the system, and the system is fully ready from the legal point of view. It fully complies the decrees number 1556 and 1557, as I told you. It includes for the full functionality for crypto code emission and crypto code reading and checking. It also supports the request of crypto boxes of emission recorders for manufacturers. So the manufacturers who are involved in high nosologies program and who are starting serialization shortly, they had already ordered, nearly all of them had already ordered using the system the crypto boxes, and most of them had already received them. We'll speak about it a little bit later. In addition to the basic system, there is an additional software. It's like an interface for the emission recorder, which is called Order Management Station, which is also in place. It's created by CRPT also. It is also in place, and it is also a full functionality which gives an ability to follow the rules of requesting, getting and reporting the crypto codes. So right now this order management station seems to be also full functionality and ready for implementation in the productive mode for all the manufacturers. The crypto code equipment, as I already told you, called emission recorders, actually it's a big system, part of which is emission recorders we're speaking about. These emission recorders are also in place, and there are few test environments you can see on the slide. I will speak about it also a little bit later, but few test environments for the manufacturer to try how to work with it and try to request codes, get them and make a probe printing and reporting. So for now, more or less the whole system and the whole surrounding of the system is in place, and we may say that it's ready to start the obligatory serialization. Right now, starting from this slide, I'm going to give you the information of the expected changes in the decrees, which are today not already published, but I believe they will be published at the moment. You will see this recording. And right now, this will give you an understanding of how the whole system will work with billing, with printing, with requesting of codes through the order management station. All this is not fully written down in the initial version of the Decree 1556, and all this is mentioned and is deeply described in the changes that are expected right now to be signed by Russian government. So when the changes to this decree will be in place, the legal frame will be fully completed. So we will start from such an easy issue as registration of the foreign manufacturer in the system, which is quite, how to say, it is quite a strange thing that I'm getting the questions from international companies, either a very complicated question of how to organize the business processes in very special cases. That's one portion of the questions I have. The second one is quite low-level things, quite get-started things, how to register, is the system already available for registration, so on and so forth. I mean, most of the big manufacturers, not to say big, but the manufacturers who supply a lot of boxes yearly into Russia, those are more or less ready. Other manufacturers who may be of the same size or bigger, but don't supply a lot, especially to Russia, they are just starting the process. For those companies, I will show the next couple of slides. The Decree 1556 states the rules of registration of a Russian company and of the foreign company, which is a little bit different. Because for Russian company, everything is based on the qualified digital sign. I wrote it down here like QDS or something like this. By the way, I'm using here on my slides, I'm using the official translation, which actually, the official translation of decrees, which actually I read myself, and to my mind it's quite difficult to understand. So I will try to tell you in voice how to read this, because the translation sometimes is not satisfactory. So paragraphs 24 and 25 states how the Russian and the foreign company should be registered in the system. For the Russian company, this includes the Russian rep office if you have one. It's quite easy because it's a legal entity of Russian Federation and they have a qualified digital sign. Normally the director of the company has. So if such a company tries to get registered in the system, they need to have just two things. One is, as I said, qualified digital sign. The second is the pharmaceutical or medical license. If you have all two of them, it's very easy. You use the data which is in your digital sign to get registered to the system, and there is just one box in above of the information that digital sign contains, just one box for information, the number of your license. So do you have a license or don't? If you do have a license, these two things, a digital sign and a license, is quite enough to get you registered. It's a quick process. It takes a few days for checking, but it's not the question of the company. It's a question of the government. It's a question of the ministry who checks that the license is really active and valid. and who checks the information from the digital sign to be the same with to match the information in the license, and then the company has the access. It's very easy. For international companies, it's a little bit more difficult, but still it takes 10 minutes to fulfill the form. You need to put there just few lines of information, which is stated in the slide you can see. Name of MH, taxpayer number in the country, not in Russia, it's an analog of your country. And mostly things of contacts, contact person, contact phone, contact email, so on. So you have to put it in the list which you can see. After that you type submit and get the information that your registration requirement is application ID is as listed, and it will be checked. So after that, what is the more difficult situation? After that, you have to go, or your representative, which you have to have a representative in Russia. It can be a person or a company, doesn't matter. You just give a power of attorney to this person or company, and they go themselves, bringing the original paper, the documents you mentioned in this form, bringing it to Roszdravnadzor, which is the Russian agency for healthcare, and just give them the paper copies or the paper originals of these documents. After that, this federal agency takes 10 days for checking the documents, and you will get the access. You will get the access not using the digital sign, but you will get a normal access through web interface using the name and password or something like that. So when you will get the access and will have a so-called personal cabinet for the company, there you have to fulfill the information which is listed in your marketing authorization form, on your registration of your medicines in Russian registration form. So you will have to put there all the manufacturing facilities you are using to produce these drugs, and you will have to put there the description of the medicines you are supplying to Russia. You have to put there, as I told you, in paragraph 29 of decree, it is stated that you have put there all the information about the production facilities, and then you will have to put there all the information about the drugs. We will speak a little bit more about it a few slides further, about the registration of medicines. Right now I will speak about the small change in the decree 62, which is stating the experiment, which I already mentioned a few slides above. It's a brand new one. It's dated of 7th of August this year. This decree, this change to the basic decree of the experiment says that the seamless transfer of the information from the experimental system to the productive system, to the productive MDLP system, should be created. That means that all the information that the manufacturer or any participant of the experiment had placed into the system, it concerns people, it concerns medicines, it concerns places of manufacturing or other addresses, everything should be transferred seamlessly for the participant, just automatically should be transferred from the experimental system to the productive system at the moment the productive system gets active. For high-cost nosologies, as I told you already, it was done on the 1st of July. For most of the drugs, for most of the medications, it will be on the 1st of January. So on the 1st of January, all information that the participants of experiment had entered to the experimental system will be transferred according to this governmental decree. This is good news because already the system contains already a lot of information and a lot of participants, and to change, to transfer the information manually, it will take a lot of time. About the medicines, the MAH shall enter to the system the whole list of the medicines they are supplying to Russia in full accordance with the registration certificates which are given from Ministry of Health. And one addition, because the system is operating with Global Trade Identification Number, which is called GTIN. That means that two sources of the information for each box, for each medicine, will be used. One is the database of Ministry of Health for certificates for medicines, and the second one is GS1 database for medicines, the database of GTINs. So they have to be matched. And when you enter into the system the information about the medicine, it should contain both GTIN and the number of your registration certificate in Ministry of Health. What is a difficult thing here, and the question I'm getting quite often from not only the international but also Russian domestic companies, but international mostly, because it's a serious problem. In most of the countries, in many countries, you already do have the GTIN issued by the local representative or local affiliate of GS1 in your country. GS1 Germany, GS1 France, GS1, I don't know, US, Israel, so on and so forth. The question is how to transfer this information to the MDLP system. Will the GTIN, which is issued by other country, accepted by Russian system? The answer is basically yes, but you have to be registered in Russian affiliate of GS1, GS1 Rus, and you have to discuss with them how is it done, how shall it be done. Because in general GS1 has a common database which considers of all the GTINs issued by all the countries. But the interaction between the different affiliates in different countries is not organized normally. So you have to speak to GS1 Russia to get this information from GS1 affiliate in your original country. If everything is okay with GS1, yes, your GTIN you've got in Germany, Israel, I don't know where, will be supported by GS1 Rus, and you will be able to enter it into MDLP system. This is the thing that you have to do yourself, and no one, including CRPT or ministry, will help you in that. Very serious change which will be done in a new edition of Decree 1556, which is the thing I think most of the time we are speaking, and I was being a leader of pharma in CRPT, most of the time I was speaking just about this issue. It is a length and the structure of the code and the length of the code. So, right now, if you open 1556, you will get the information exactly like listed on this slide. Paragraph 5 says that there are two obligatory lines in the code, which is serial number, unique serial number for each box, which is GTIN, which is a global trade identification number, which is so-called cryptic key, just 4 digits, field 91, and which is the fourth group, 88 symbols of digital sign. Why 88 symbols? The answer is quite simple. In this digital signing process in the crypto box, in the crypto system, it is used the algorithms which are 64 bytes crypto algorithm for creation of digital sign. 64 bytes means 88 symbols. That's it. Just for understanding, when it comes out of emission recorder, this line, these 88 symbols, don't have any sense for your systems, for the systems of participants. I mean, it's just a number of letters, special symbols, figures, whatever. So they don't bring any special information for your system. They bring the information just for the box, for outcome recorder, which is used in hospitals and which is used in some pharmacies which don't have cash machines, who are giving just special medicines for free. So this line has sense only for them, because it is decoded there in that special box. Only in that special box it is decoded, and it is checked whether the information in the code matches with the information which is digitally signed in the system. So this gives a possibility to check and to avoid any counterfeit on the market. After that, after these 4 lines, 4 groups of data, in the decree right now there is stated that you can add batch number and expiry date to additional groups which you are free to use or not to use. That created some problems with programming with cash machines and other equipment, even at distributors, because you even don't know. One manufacturer uses this data, other doesn't. So you can get a few different numbers of figures and different numbers of lines. You can use one of them, you can use both of them, you can use none of them. So it makes a kind of mess in the recognition and the market for cash machines, which are quite a simple device and don't have a software, high-level software there inside. So it was decided to take this off. What will change in this paragraph? First, 88 symbols will not be valid anymore. The algorithm, the new algorithm that was created with an initiative of CRPT by our special services, Russian special services, contains 32 bytes and it is 44 symbols. It's 2 times shorter. That's first. Second, the additional information is totally taken off. That means that the new paragraph 5, the new edition of paragraph 5 will look like that. You have just 4 groups of data. The 4th group is not 88 but it is 44 symbols. And the only additional requirement is that in the data matrix, these groups shall follow each other, first, then second, then third, then fourth. Not other order of appearance, just one after another. That seriously simplifies the process of serialization, of printing it at the manufacturer's side. And that simplifies the process of recognition it at the pharmacy or hospital side. Few words about printing. That was a biggest concern on the market. How it looks right now. So in total, with special symbols which are used by GS1, which are specified by GS1, In total, the new format of data matrix will contain 85 symbols, which fits the size of data matrix, the matrix itself, on 32 by 32 models, which brings us, if we print with one printing head of half an inch printing head, we print 12 by 12 or 12.1 by 12.1 millimeters. That brings us to the dot size of, I don't remember exactly, but it's something like 0.375 millimeters. Which is actually an easy story for every printer because it doesn't require any special tuning of it or changing the printing mode. It's still 300 per 300 dots per inch. It's still, so it supports the same speed of printing, same quality of printing as it was before, because it doesn't change anything in this printing process. One thing I want to mention here, and which is listed on the slide. Sometimes what in our experiments we found out that it should be, according to the GS1 specification, it should be 32 by 32 models, these 85 symbols. But sometimes using some software which creates this data matrix, it takes us to the size of 36 by 36. I don't know why. I have no answer why. It's just some algorithm inside the software which is used, which gets 85 symbols to this size of matrix. I had officially asked GS1 for comments. I've got a comment that according to GS1 it should be 32 by 32. So if your equipment gets you, if your equipment forms the data matrix with 36 by 36 models, it's quite okay with compliance. Don't be afraid, it's normal, nobody checks this. But it should bring you to some special tunes of printing equipment. Maybe yes, maybe not, I don't know. But just for your information, don't be afraid. If it appears, it's quite okay with compliance, and it's just an issue of your quality of printing and your technology process. That's it. One additional thing which makes much easier the process of serialization with the product line, with the manufacturer. In the previous version, which is actually valid right now today when I'm saying this word, there is directly stated that the serialization shall be done by the manufacturer at the product line. And that's quite a serious border, which brings us to these problems with printing and with speeds of printing, because it shall be put somewhere at the cartoner machine or just after that. So it brings some problems, or could bring some difficulties in organization of the process. The new edition of this paragraph says that the words on the product line are taken off totally. So it's done, it still shall be done by the manufacturer. No one will check if the manufacturer does it itself or has an agreement with some third party for making a preprint of this data matrix codes on the boxes. And there are also some special words about the labeling, that the label shall be put on the box, if it is put on the box, if it is a label. It can't be separated without damage. So it's unseparable label should be. But the most serious thing is that the new edition of this paragraph allows you to create a preprint. Together with what I told you before, that from the new edition will be taken off the words about batch number and expiry date. That brings us to a possibility of a preprint on the very high quality special equipment out of the line, which is a good story and solves a lot of problems. So that's what I told. Possible solutions: direct print on the Cartooner machine or after the Cartooner machine, preprint to a box before insertion, before packaging, and non-separable labels, which is also a case, but it's a case if you don't have a big number of boxes, if you don't have a huge series, if it is a few thousands or few tens of thousands boxes per year you supply to Russia. In this case, this labeling works. What else? A few words about basic usage agreement of emission recorders. We are still waiting, and today I saw the draft, but I didn't see the final version of the agreement of getting the emission recorder. There are two kinds of agreement. First of them is getting it on site. It is valid both for Russians, and if you want, I myself think that it is a kind of joke, but if you want to get it on site out of Russia, you also can do it, and CRPT will help you with the export license for this special crypto box. But the targeted configuration and the targeted thing is to get this crypto box, put it into the data center of the operator, and let the operator work with it and operate it. You will get the connection to your assigned emission recorder by the internet using the order management station, the special software created by CRPT to operate this emission recorder. That's what I told you already. Couple of issues regarding this agreement. First, if you get the emission recorder, you get actually two of them, one operating the second hot swap, and you will have the third one in the cold mode at the warehouse of the operator in case of replacement required. In case of replacement required, the operator has 10 days for replacement if it is on site. If something happens on site at your manufacturing facility with this emission recorder, if something happens, operator creates the obligatory inspection of terms of usage, of conditions and all this kind of stuff, and this inspection of the box itself to understand why is it out of order. Delivery 30 days, in case of data center of operator it's less than a week. And checklist for each facility to check if all the conditions are fulfilled. Order management station. I've heard about different software which also is able to work with emission recorder. But the basic scenario is usage of order management station. Only in this case, operator guarantees the hot swap, for example, because you have two of them, as I told. And if something happens with the operating one, there is a hot swap mode and hot swap option. But only in case you are using the authorized software, which is an order management station. If you are using the software from some other supplier, it can be a problem, and it is an obligation of the supplier of the software to guarantee this hot swap mode. Basic items of recall, just for your understanding. Actually, if Russian manufacturer loses a license for manufacturing, this can be, the equipment will be recalled. If the equipment is not used for 12 months, for a year, it will be recalled. For international companies, for MAH, if MAH loses all the authorizations or all the certificates for medicines on the territory of Russian Federation, that means that it doesn't supply any medicine to Russia, so the emission recorder is also recalled. Of course, if these certificates are renovated or reissued, you can reapply for emission recorder. Just to show you one scheme, the small scheme I was showing already for months, just for your understanding, how it is split. The split between Russian addresses or Russian manufacturing facilities is like the same, like this. On one address, it is applied one emission recorder. If you have two facilities, mostly at one place, but they have two different physical addresses, you will have two different emission recorders. Doesn't matter, are they on-site or in data center of operator, but for one address, one assigned emission recorder. For international companies, we are speaking not in terms of addresses or placement of facilities, we are speaking in terms of MAH. Just one MAH gets one emission recorder. Doesn't matter how many international facilities it has. If the MAH has both Russian and international facilities, you get one emission recorder for all international facilities and one emission recorder for each address inside Russian Federation. This is the rule. I think that that's quite simple. Of course, with each emission recorder, there comes one, for each one, it comes one order management station. But as far as I know, you have to ask CRPT for details, but as far as I know, you can use just one order management station if you are using several emission recorders in different addresses, but the order management station can be one and using one instance of it. What else? About payment, the most serious thing I was asked a few weeks earlier. This touches two basic governmental decrees, 1556 and 1556 and 577. 577 declares that the code emission is charged 50 kopecks per each, but the details of how is it done are put into the changes, into expected changes in 1556. The basic thing is when you request the code, so you plan to manufacture to produce some series or some batch or I don't know what, some amount of boxes of medicines. At the moment you have your production plan, you can request crypto codes. You create serial number, you add GTIN, you send it to the emission recorder through order management station, and you get the response in which there is a serial number, GTIN, and two fields of crypto code, the key and the digital sign. After that moment, when you receive it, you have 180 days, half a year, 180 days to print these codes and to declare them to the track and trace system for medicines, to MDLP. At the moment you declare them, the system checks if there is enough money on your account, and the codes, if there is enough money, the codes are paid. So that means that between you request and receive the codes and
you declare them to the system in order to start the movement to Russia, in order the shipment to Russia, to organize the shipment to Russia. You have 180 days. You can order them and print at the same day and report at the same day, so it will be paid at the same day. You can order them and print at the first day and declare or report them on the 179th day. So it will be paid on 179th day. If you don't use the codes, that means that if you didn't declare the requested codes in 180 days, they will expire. Doesn't matter, are they printed or not. If there is no report in MDLP in 180 days after you requested the codes are not valid anymore. That's the main thing. So, that's what I already told you. The payment is done upon the reporting to MDLP, not upon the requesting codes, but upon the reporting. It's up to you how to organize the reporting process. So if you take some samples, for example, at the manufacturing facility, just don't put them into the report you send to MDLP, so they will not be charged. If you have printed some Russian cryptocodes, but you ship this batch not to Russia, but say to Kazakhstan or other countries which are accepting Russian design of the box, for example, just don't report them, and they will not be charged, because the charging is only the only Russian story right now. It will change, but right now it's the Russian story, and only the drugs shipped to Russia shall be paid. That's how the timeline looks like, and what I already told you here. So, one of the very serious things to mention is that the reports which are going through the API protocol of MDLP right now, the reports like 3.11 for Russian and 3.21 for international production, at the moment the payment starts, they will be not valid anymore. You can pay only for the drugs you have reported through the emission recorder by using the reports 10.3.11 and 10.3.19. One notice, one quite serious notice. All the questions of payments, charging, it's all about the productive system. It's about the productive system, not about the experiment mode. Just a reminder, the experiment mode ends on 31st of December 2019 for almost all medicines. For a special group, which is high-cost nosologists, it ends on 1st of October 2019. 1st of October 2019 for high-cost nosologists. After that moment, the codes for this group will become paid. They will be charged. Before that, no charge, no payment. What else? Yes, it will be a separate agreement, and the text of this agreement in the draft I've already seen. It will be a separate agreement between the operator and the manufacturer about payment of the codes. Don't ask me how it will be organized exactly, but the main thing is that you have to make a not an advance payment, yes? You have to put some deposit amount just before you are going to report the codes to the MDLP system. Because when you report to the MDLP system, there will be a check if there is enough money to pay this series of batch you have reported, and if it is enough, the money will be taken and the report will go to MDLP. Only after this, the production is listed in MDLP and you can ship it to Russia. You can ship it to the next step, to the border, to the customs, to distributor, whatever, inside the system. While they are not paid, you will not be able to do the further steps. That's the point how it works. And that's the main term of this agreement. One of the last slides for today. Right now, in the mode of experiment, the system works in two ways. I'm speaking right now from the point of view of manufacturer who is reporting the production of the drugs. You can send the report 311 or 321 using API protocol of MDLP, which will be in turn sent to MDLP system, and your report will appear in MDLP, and you will be able, after reporting this, you will be able to do the next steps, ship them, pass customs, so on and so forth. You can also do it using the order management station and emission recorder by sending the data, not the report, but you just send the data of the printed boxes, the information about the printed boxes, and the emission recorder itself forms the reports for Russian manufacturing 10.311 and for international 10.319. At the moment, the billing will, so these ways in the experiment they are equal, you can use both of them or each one of them. At the moment the billing is in place, so at the moment the experiment is over and manufacturing production, productive mode is in power. These ways of reporting through API MDLP, these reports disappear. This possibility does not work anymore because it is not connected to a billing system. So you will not be able to use them anymore, and that's all. So that's how it looks, and that's how you shall address your integrators or your software suppliers who is doing for you the preparation for operating with MDLP system. This is the main thing to understand. Starting from 1st of January, if nothing will be changed, only reports 10.311, 10.319 sent through the emission recorder will be accepted by the system on the stage of production. So, that's all I wanted to tell you today. Thank you very much. It was the first part of the series of our seminars we had created for you to understand the legal framework and basic business processes of Russian serialization track and trace system. And we are going to continue it with a second seminar of business processing of the MDLP system. See you then. Thank you so much. That's all for today. Goodbye.